Another thing, you guys may not put too much value into Polymatter, but Polymatter is like a betting website where people can bet if something's going to happen or not. It's been pretty useful. It's not 100% that it's always accurate, but a lot of times when people's money is involved, you kind of get a sense of what's about to happen. And 70% people believe on Polymatter. I think millions of dollars have been bet that 70% chance US is going to get involved. It will take military actions. Now we remember last night, White House was making a lot of comments, a lot of posts, basically trying to get public support to get involved in Iran. Trump was doing that. Well, today, Vance, the vice president, is making comments too. I hate reading long posts, but he's the vice president, so we have to read this. So let's go through this. Look, I'm seeing this from the inside, and I'm admittedly biased towards our president and my friend. There's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, so I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. First, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over the 10 years that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Now, before we continue, by the way, I do want to give some background into JD Vance's stance as to if US should get involved overseas. He's one of the biggest proponent of isolationism. I can't say that word, but he's one of the biggest isolationists in the administration. If you guys remember the leaked text messages, leaked signal chat, he was actually not arguing against US getting involved in Yemen, but he was debating against it. He's like, we should not do this. So even he's coming out in support of Iran. At least that's what it looks like from this statement. That's definitely a big deal. And that's definitely a signal to people who are reading things closely as to what US may do. Over the last months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish his goal. The president has made clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment. He said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, easy way or the other way. Now, in the negotiations, the biggest point of disagreements. So US and Iran have been negotiating for the last 60 days, and on the 61st day is when Israel started the operation because negotiations were not moving anywhere. Now, the biggest point of disagreement was Iran wanted to keep their nuclear program. At least publicly, Iran was saying that they're not going to use the nuclear facilities they have for nuclear weapon, but they want to continue enriching uranium for civilian purposes, for energy purposes and other stuff like that. Well, President Trump was saying maybe they can continue all that, but they should not enrich uranium. They can just buy from other countries. They can buy it from Europe. They can buy it from China, any other country. That was the biggest disagreement. Iran was publicly saying they don't want the nuclear weapons, but then again, we don't know if it's true or not. But they were saying we want to continue enriching uranium. That was the biggest disagreement, and that's why we didn't have a nuclear deal. But let's continue with JD Vance's post. Second, I have seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have a civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they have enriched uranium far above the levels necessary for any civilian purposes. They've been found in violation of the non-proliferation obligations by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is hardly a right-wing organization. Now, a little bit more context on this. Israel was claiming before they started the operations that Iran was in fact enriching uranium a lot faster while they were pretending to negotiate with Trump. In fact, what Israel was trying to basically say is like Iran was building a bomb while they were just stalling the negotiations. That's what their goal was, and that's why Israel went in for the kill so fast over the last few days. Now, the second thing, the UN organization, which is right here, the IAEA, they haven't said this in 20 years. First time in 20 years, they said that Iran is not following their obligations under the treaty. So this was the first time, and this was kind of like a big signal that, okay, Iran is doing something and someone needs to do something about it. But let's continue with the Vice President's post. It's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. It's still another to cling enrichment while simultaneously violating the basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching the right to the point of weapon-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, Dictator. Have you guys seen? It's like a comedy movie where that guy is like basically making a speech and he's saying, we're only going to enrich uranium for civilian purposes, and he's just like laughing while saying this. I don't know if I can share this. I think the stream will get taken down because it's a movie clip. But that's basically what Iran was doing. Publicly, they're saying, oh, we just need it for energy. And all the while, they're laughing in the background. And they were really, I don't think they expected what Israel was able to do. I don't think that's something they were expecting, because for the last 4 decades, Iran has been preparing for a war with Israel, and it seems like they were not prepared at all. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide, now this is the big part, this is the big part, he may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. But I believe President has earned some trust on this issue and has seen this up close and personal. I can assure you, he's only interested in using American military to accomplish American people's goal. Kind of seems like they're trying to get public support. They're trying to get public support for possible involvement, possible US strikes. Now, President Trump has been in his National Security Council meeting for the last 2 hours. He's going to make a statement when he gets out and we'll join in. But this was what he said, I think, when he was traveling from Canada to the United States last night. And it's important. Hopefully you guys can hear it, because it is on the Air Force One. The plane noise is in the background, so it's kind of hard to hear.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
My bad. This is a 2x. Let me turn it to 1x.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for?
So the question is, if you guys cannot hear, the journalist asked, what is better than the ceasefire? What are you looking for? And he's asking that because Trump said, we're going to do something better than a ceasefire when he was coming over to the White House.
Here.
And then a real end, not a ceasefire. And then
So something that would be permanent.
yeah, or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Are you possible? Is that possible in the next 24
Why not?
hours?
Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
And then a real end.
My bad. I was just checking if Trump is live or not, but let's continue. Iranian sources claim. This is going with the thumbnail we have, or I guess we had. Iranian sources claim Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has locked himself in an underground bunker with his family. Now, apparently this location was not supposed to be known to people, but it is known to people because Trump just told the whole world. We know exactly where the so-called Supreme Leader is hiding. And he's hiding in a bunker, and people have the coordinates. I guess the administration have the coordinates. Another thing I want to point out, by the way, all the tweets Trump made in the morning, as you guys can see on your screen, he was using the word we a lot. Now, we saw in the State Department presser that people were asking, what does the we mean? Well, some anonymous official who was in the National Security Council meeting said, we means the United States. He did not clarify. He just said that one phrase. We means the United States. So US knows. That means US is involved already in intelligence sharing with Israel. That's something publicly in the last 2 days, Trump and even the administration was denying. They were saying the only thing we were involved in is defensive purposes. We were not sharing intelligence. We were not doing anything. But now Trump is saying that we, and then many people in the administration confirmed anonymously that we means the United States. So we've been sharing intelligence with Israel.